The 20th ranked cornerback in the country, Christian Williams, will be part of the Canes' Surge 19 recruiting class. The four-star recruit from Daphne, Alabama, was originally committed to the University of Alabama, but flipped and signed with the Canes yesterday. Dr. Buskirk and other researchers are hoping that these goggles will be the new standard in concussion assessment. We'll introduce you to 12-year-old Zoe Terry, a middle schooler who's changing lives. Plus, we'll tell you why I'm in a giant doll box and why Zoe is an inspiration. Coming up on News Vision, we'll introduce you to Thunder, the furriest member of UMPD. All of the items in the store are donated, and one of the graduates of the LEAP program actually makes these handmade soaps. The pedestrian bridge has made the University of Miami and the surrounding community much safer. Just more than a week after a neo-Nazi sympathizer opened fire in a synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, killing 11 people and injuring more than a dozen others, communities all over the country, including here at the University of Miami, are working to move forward. Governor DeSantis made his announcement right here yesterday around 12:30 p.m. He announced the addition of 2 Law alumni to the 11th Judicial Circuit Court. I'm live at the Watsco Center where the Canes women's basketball team is gearing up to face off against Florida Gulf Coast University tonight at 9. And the University of Miami's Campus Spirit Programming Board Category 5 is adding to the pregame excitement. This is the size of last year's 2-kilo turnover chain, but this year's is 3 kilos. So add this, and that's how big the new chain is. This as the man accused of opening fire in that synagogue appears in court. Good evening and welcome to News Vision. I'm Madison Brown.
And I'm Trayvon Howard. Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
That ceremony was one of many across the country, showing solidarity and honoring the victims. They all had the same message: we are stronger than hate. student Brandon Jackson came to The Rock on Monday night to honor the memory of the victims killed in a synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh. And he was not alone.
I saw the community coming together, not just Jewish people. There were Catholics, Muslims, Christians, atheists, people who don't even follow a religion, people who are just friends with me, people who lived in Pittsburgh. You saw anyone who cared tonight, and that's all I could ever ask for.
Hundreds of students, faculty, and community members joined Brandon for a candlelight vigil organized by University of Miami Hillel.
As a leader of the Jewish community in Miami, and specifically at the University of Miami Hillel, it's my responsibility to work with my colleagues, partners, and friends to mobilize this community.
People from all backgrounds and faiths came to show their support.
Today, we are all citizens of Pittsburgh.
My grandfather is a Holocaust survivor, and I felt it was my moral duty, my moral obligation, my moral responsibility to act upon the hatred. And so together as a community, we've worked tirelessly over the weekend to ensure that those lives lost on Saturday are forever commemorated and never forgotten.
A 97-year-old was one of the victims of the shooting, along with a former youth baseball coach, an accountant, a husband and wife, a doctor, a father, a retired research specialist, a dentist, and 2 brothers.
Light up those lights.
One student says she feels a personal connection to the tragedy because of her Jewish faith.
It's unfortunate that these events are happening so frequently now, but when it affects a community that you're directly a part of, it's even more jarring, and as devastating as it is anyway, it becomes personal.
Hillel Rabbi Lyle Rothman says the Jewish community is not the only group affected by this hate crime, and the only thing to do moving forward is just that, to move forward.
This is a tragedy that affects the Jewish community, but it's an anti-Semitic crime that affects humanity. And so we have to move forward together. We have to mobilize. We have to make sure that we are here for each other, that we are comforting each other, but we have to make sure that this campus and this world is a safe space, and we're going to do that by doing it together.
And to help the community move forward, Hillel will host Father Patrick Dubois, a human rights activist and leading advocate in combating anti-Semitism, on Monday, November 5th at 7 p.m. All of this happening as the man accused of killing 11 people in the Pittsburgh synagogue appeared in court today. Thanks, guys. The University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute is changing the game for athletes in South Florida high schools, and the schools are doing their part to keep players safe. This football practice is different from a game for one main reason. The players don't tackle during practice. Head coach of the American Heritage High School football team and former NFL player Pat Surtain says the tackle-free method is called thudding.
I know a lot of concussions are caused from helmet to helmet, but also a lot of concussions are caused from the head hitting the turf. So we try to keep guys up, use our shoulder pads, eyes up. I figure that's the best way to practice, and it keeps guys healthy throughout the season.
Coach Surtain and the head athletic trainer Frank Milan take safety seriously. If they suspect a player might have a concussion, they pull them out of play for a SCAT-5 test. SCAT-5 stands for Sports Concussion Assessment Tool.
Can you process new information by creating new memory or remembering things like what are the months of the year prior to? And then some things are observed. Does the athlete appear to be off balance, or do they seem to be slurring their speech?
After using SCAT-5 to determine if the player may have a concussion, the trainer performs the impact test post-injury.
It's a computerized assessment test. It's been around for years. It's been developed as kind of the gold standard for more definitive assessment of the concussion.
Each player undergoes a pre-injury test at the beginning of the season, and then a comparison is made to determine what changes occurred from the injury. The player is then referred to a medical professional for formal assessment and testing procedures. The impact test has some limitations because of its reliance on an accurate preseason baseline test. Dr. Jillian Hotz from the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute heads a clinic for all trainers at Miami-Dade Public Schools to refer their injured athletes. Jim Buskirk, a physical therapist and exercise physiologist, works with Dr. Hotz and has been studying concussions and working towards a better way to identify them for more than 30 years. Dr. Buskirk and other researchers are hoping that these goggles will be the new standard in concussion assessment.
We've found that eye tracking technology is something that can give you very, very sensitive and specific results without false positives or false negatives of about 95%. And that's really, really good. In medical, I'll take that all day long.
The eye-tracking goggles could change the game for concussion detection and keep athletes safe. The new technology could be heading to sidelines soon. And speaking of the sidelines, after the break, our head-to-head crew discusses whether or not #FireMarkRipped should become a reality. Every young girl deserves a doll, especially one that makes her feel beautiful. And one South Florida middle schooler agrees. She's taking steps to make sure that every girl feels beautiful and comfortable in her own skin.
I love dolls. I mean, I have like a million.
At first glance, 12-year-old Zoe Terry seems like a typical preteen girl. She's interested in fashion, sports, and spending time with her friends. But Zoe is not an ordinary 12-year-old. In fact, she has already accomplished more than some people manage to accomplish their whole life.
So this is Simply Zoe. This is my book.
Zoe wrote a book herself 3 years ago, when she was just 9. She says it was a way to come to terms with certain difficulties.
I cry a lot in this book.
Besides being a published author, Zoe is also a fashionista.
This has been my favorite vest. I really love it. It's like a statement piece, I like to think.
She already has a collection of t-shirts, and she hopes to start her own line of blazers. On top of that, she has received more awards than can fit on a shelf, including a coveted Nickelodeon award.
The Halo Award is probably one of my biggest awards and one of my biggest accomplishments.
The Halo Award stands for helping and leading others, and Zoe is the youngest recipient of the national award. But Zoe is also proud of another award she received, for being on her school's swim team against all odds.
The doctor said I wouldn't be able to swim.
When Zoe was 2 years old, her mom took her to the doctor after noticing Zoe was dragging her right foot.
He found out that I had a stroke, and I had to go through like 6 years of physical therapy, speech therapy, and they said I wouldn't be able to swim, ride a bike, do jumping jacks, do like normal physical activities that kids do.
But Zoe didn't want to give up doing the physical activities that most kids her age take for granted. So she learned how to swim so she could join the swim team.
I was the worst swimmer on the team, obviously.
But that didn't stop her. And her stroke is not the only thing Zoe has overcome in her short life. She has managed to fight and win a battle against bullying in a unique way.
She was 5, and she came home and some things transpired. She wanted to really put in extensions in her hair to make it longer, and she wanted her skin to be lighter, and I was like, what's happening here? And found out that there was some bullying happening.
It turned out another girl was teasing Zoe for the way she looked. But Zoe found a way to feel beautiful. She played with dolls.
When I really looked at my doll, I saw my image and I knew that I was beautiful and that I was special.
And that's how Zoe started Zoe's Dolls, an organization that gives dolls to girls to help them feel beautiful.
Hello, my name is Zoe.
If I have a birthday party, instead of gifts, I ask people to bring in new brown dolls of color.
You just give them away?
We just give them out. Yeah, so people donate new dolls and we give them out.
Since Zoe started Zoe's Dolls 7 years ago, she has given away more than 20,000 dolls to girls all over the world. She says that the holidays are the busiest and the most gratifying time for Zoe's Dolls.
Some girls may not receive a Christmas gift or a doll that really looks like them. So when you see that smile, they're always so happy and filled with joy, and they just love their dolls so much, and they give me the biggest hug. And I'm a big hugger, so I love that. So it really makes my heart feel good.
Let's go bye-bye.
7-year-old Esther Bertrand is one girl who Zoe has impacted. Esther has one word to describe how receiving dolls from Zoe makes her feel.
Happy?
On top of giving dolls away, Zoe also organizes doll fashion shows where girls get to model outfits by walking out of a giant doll box. Today, Zoe is busy with studying, writing her second book, managing Zoe's Dolls, and working on designing her very own doll. She says she also worked things out with the girl who once bullied her.
We're cool now, we're not best buds, but we're cool now.
And she encourages everyone to be positive and believe in yourself.
Just be nice and kind, because you never know what someone is going through. But I also feel how my mission can help that, is that you have self-confidence in yourself. We should celebrate our differences and we should love each other.
Wise words from a very wise 12-year-old girl on a mission to make the world a better place. For Zoe, the sky is the limit and she has high hopes for her future. After creating her own doll and fashion line, Zoe might make her way into public service. Since participating in Model UN at school, she says she fell in love with politics. We'll certainly be cheering her on no matter what she does next.